What is good, boys? I'm here with Isaac, one of my boys, and one of my students, unfortunately. And today we are going to record a kind of like a breakthrough of his journey and where he's gotten so far, where he's starting, kind of where he's at right now. So, to kick things off, what is your name? What do you even do, bro? Why are you even
Uh,
here?
I'm Isaac. I'm an appointment setter. I was a university student up until a couple of weeks ago,
Forgot about that.
but not anymore. I was studying computer science, but then I decided to go balls deep, basically with setting and online sales. And yeah, here I am now.
Damn, okay. So, you said appointment setting. What even is that, bro?
So basically, how appointment setting works is you connect clients or prospects and leads to people who sell like info products, services, whatever it may be. So if you have a fitness coach, for example, with 200,000 followers, he's not going to be the one responding to every single message. I'm sorry to break that to you. You're not actually talking to him. So my job is to come in, sit in his inbox and qualify people that are sending him messages, finding out their pain, finding out what exactly it is they need, and then determining whether it's worthwhile booking them on a call with either the fitness coach themselves or someone else in their team.
Yeah, so like a closer. I got you.
Yeah.
So you're doing this thing, you're helping coaches pretty much book in sales calls so they can make more money and then you get paid for it as well, right?
Yeah, I get a commission from that. Some of them have base pay as well, though good ones have base pay, but you get a commission.
Okay, fire, fire. You said a bit about what you were doing before this. You were doing comp sci, right?
Yeah, I was studying computer science second year at university.
Damn, how come you decided to drop out, bro?
Honestly, so I've always been looking at ways to make money online and be financially free. And I've never liked being in education, even from like the ages of 4 or 5, but it's kind of just a thing you're kind of funneled into. So I went to university, did 1 year at university, and computer science was something I genuinely had an interest in. But as I've kind of progressed, I've realized that it's not something I want to be doing long term. So this second year has been quite kind of a hard year because it really clicked with me that this is not what I wanted to be doing for the rest of my life. So it's hard to find motivation to stay like in the course and other external factors like I wasn't really happy with the course itself. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to invest in myself and take the jump.
Type shit. I think it's worth noting as well, your voice is usually deeper. Right now you're just ill. So
I'm so ill right now.
because you're gonna watch this back and you're gonna think, what the fuck was wrong with my
I'm not
voice?
watching this back.
Bro ain't watching it back, no fucking way. Damn, bro. So you've dropped out. You're kind of at a point where I'd say you're reaching like phase two of your journey. You've kind of already taken the first leap. You said you invested in yourself and everything. And you've obviously kind of made setting work for you. When did things start to click for you and what kind of, results were you seeing and everything?
So I think I should start by saying for about a month I was setting by myself, like I didn't have a mentor or anything like that. And I actually reached out to Val early on in my like journey, but I kind of the kind of guy who wants to give stuff a go himself before like, asking for help. So that's what I did. I was on a B2B, it was business to business, which is basically when you're working in a business and you're offering services to another business basically. And it was video editing kind of business that would edit videos for other businesses and whatnot. So I did that for a month. I made $10 from that, a whole $10, I know. Um, and then after that, I decided, you know what, I want to be serious about this and I want to go all in. So obviously, I reached out to Val and he closed me like a boss and I got onboarded and whatnot. So I spent a month training up just because I wanted to make sure I was actually ready. I reckon I could have done it sooner, but I just, wanted to be confident in my abilities. And then I got on my first offer, which I've been doing for since March. I've been doing that since the beginning of March.
That's fire. I don't know if you remember, but we actually got on a networking call when you just started your journey.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was fire. And you were pretty much telling me, I know this probably won't work out, but I want to try it on my own. And when it doesn't work out, I'll come to you and I'll join your coaching, bro.
Yeah, I pretty much said that you'd already closed me. Like, I just
Yeah.
wanted to try it out first. And I'm glad I did because it gave me kind of a perspective and it made me realize what the difference between a good offer is and a bad offer is. It's something
Yeah.
you just kind of have to experience to realize.
100%. And I think the cool thing, and I don't think you realize this either, bro, is my creative director and my friend as well. Like we live across each other. We kind of grew up together. We lived across each other in Ireland. We grew up together and everything. He saw me get on a networking call with you. He saw me close you. He was actually eating when I closed you. And now he's kind of seeing you come up too. And he's like
Yeah.
seeing your progression and your journey. His name's Gabriel. For some of you watching this, you might already know him if you're kind of familiar with the vlogs and everything. But it's kind of crazy because when you're so involved in your journey, you don't really get to see it. But you kind of like, you get distracted or you don't really enjoy the process. Sometimes some people do. I think I really enjoyed the journey. But Gabriel got to see it all and I've reminded him, I was like, do you remember when Isaac started? He was like, yeah, I remember it vividly. And it's fucking crazy to just have other people kind of witness your journey, like everybody in the group really as well.
Yeah, it's like since I've joined Setters Academy back in February, I'd say it was end of February or beginning of February, whatever it was. There's been so many more people joining, and like those guys are now my boys now. But it's been cool to see them coming up. I'm kind of in the position that Gabe was in the time I joined, and you can see everybody progress, and it's really good to see that you have like a community of guys that are all pursuing the same goal. I think that was one of the things that really clicked for me after the
Yeah.
London trip was like, shit, I'm when I'm back at uni, I'm not around guys that are pursuing the same goals as me. They're hard workers, but we're on different paths. When I was in London, the London trip, it was just such a great experience, honestly. Like, I don't like being in London, and that actually made me enjoy being there.
I think I've noticed a lot, bro. It's never really about the location, it's about the people. Like it's
Yeah,
about
that's
to
very
be around because that's what makes the experiences. The location doesn't matter. It could rain, it could be sunny. You ultimately don't really care. Because a lot of us have realized if it rains every single day, because a lot of us are from the UK or Ireland or wherever, or Europe,
yeah.
if it rains every single day, you kind of just give up after a while. You can't really
Mhm.
control it. You just get a fucking umbrella, right? And we do that a lot with life. But you can't really be upset about it, and then when we have controllables like the people around us, it really makes it more enjoyable for us. One of the things I make a lot of the people do when they join now, a lot of the boys, is force them to go and get on networking calls, and you've done a lot of them now too at this point. But meet the other guys in the group because when you're involved with other people to involve, you tend to obviously get to that point too, but much faster. Like you become the average of the people you're around essentially. It's such a cliche fucking saying, but it's extremely true. And that's I think why our standard and our average is so high right now.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. It goes back to like another cliche of like being the smallest fish in the pond you're in, basically, so that you're surrounding people that are on your same level or preferably higher than you, so you can work towards catching up to them or surpassing them. There's no point being around people that they're doing worse than you, or they don't have the same aspirations or bigger aspirations than you. You're not gonna have that same push to actually go somewhere in your life.
yeah, bro. I think a lot of people don't tend to realize is in our group, I think average is what 1.5, 2K a month. And like
Yeah.
pretty much everybody's winning. And if you go to another setting community or another like sales group or whatever, bro, the best is like 1.5. The best.
Yeah, before I came to Val, or like whilst I was like in contact with Val, I did look into other like communities and stuff like that. Uh, yeah, yeah, but yeah, there was just nothing was like Setters Academy in terms of the one to one, the actual proof behind what you're saying in terms of you've gone through that path. You're not at the beginning, if that makes sense. So I don't want to be learning from somebody who's only making like 1.52K a month. Like you're still a small fish, you know what I mean?
What I've come to understand is if you have one mentor, because I've had multiple in my life at this point, but if you only have one mentor, you'll always kind of be a few steps behind him because he's your main source of information. As he figures things out, there's a delay process and then you figure it out. So if he's making 3K a month, the process of you getting past that is fucking impossible. Like it's probably not gonna happen, bro.
Yeah.
Because he's figuring things out as he goes. Obviously, we all are, but he's figuring out the more simplistic stuff that you should know off the bat, but you don't get to because he doesn't have that. I think it's important to understand who you get knowledge from because, bro, there's 300 different ways to do really well with anything. There's 3,000 different business models, probably more, right? But it's if you have enough conviction in a way because you have so much conviction in a person. That's all it comes down to. I could give you the best strategy in the world, but I could also give you the worst. If you don't trust the best one, it's not going to work. But if you trust the person behind the worst one and you don't know it's the worst one, there's a much higher probability that will work for you instead of the other one.
Yeah,
It
it's
all
funny you bring up business models as well because I've tried a lot of different business models. I've looked into like growth up, I've looked into drop shipping, I've looked into trading, whatever. But I feel like for me, when I realized that sales was the way, it's just because it's so applicable to so many different things. And I actually got into setting because I was looking to get into growth up. And I realized to get into growth up, there's so many different moving parts that you have to master if you want to do well. So I was like, let me just start with one and do that really well to the point where, I know everything about it and then work up to something else. So it's kind of like the gateway for me into the whole high ticket sales world. So that's why I decided to go into setting pretty much.
I have an interesting question for you because a lot of people, a lot of viewers right now aren't going to expect this answer, but last month you had your all-time high month, right?
Yeah.
How much did you make and how did it feel?
I made $3,054 and that was only in commission.
54,
So
baby.
there was no base pay.
Yeah.
To
How did that feel?
be honest, I really didn't feel too much, if that makes sense, because one thing I've been working on for a long time, well, the last few months is mindset. Mindset has been my big personal biggest bottleneck. So that comes down to disassociating myself from numbers and results. Like once I've done what I need to do, when that's out of my hands, you kind of have to just move past it. Otherwise, you're going to be looking behind you instead of forward. So, like the first few times when I hit like 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. It's money. But I've kind of learned that $3,000 is nothing compared to like everybody else around you and where I want to be. So in the beginning, it felt really good, but then I realized, oh, it's just that's a monthly wage for a normal person.
No, it's time to multiply it. Do better,
Yeah,
perform better,
yeah,
make more. I heard something earlier today, and it's one of those things that will always stay in my brain. Performance is driven by fear.
yeah,
So if you're a sales rep or you're an offer owner or you're a business owner, no matter what business it is, if you make really good money one month and you feel euphoric, there's not much fear because it gets hidden by the euphoria or the happiness. What tends to happen is your performance goes to shit, and you do the things that keep you happy instead of the things that you don't enjoy. But the things that you don't enjoy are what's going to make you money. Something like setting or closing, it's not as high leverage as operating 3 people or 5 people or 10 people or operating a business because you're a sales rep, you're determined by your time and your obviously your skill set. So it's inputs and outputs. But what tends to happen is people make good money, they get really happy, and then they make horrible money the next month or the month after that. And it all goes back to your why too. And I think that's something I've been trying to push on you boys. Like you can have a good month. Don't be fucking happy. Understand you deserve a lot more than what you just had.
yeah. I agree completely. Like going back to that mindset thing, one of the things I try to do is not like correlate my success to the numbers. So I quantify success in have I improved? Am
Yeah.
I learning? Am I getting into something like bigger than just appointment setting? So for example, I'm looking to get into SDR, which is basically appointment setting, but over the phone. Over the phone. So you do yeah, you dial pretty much. So I think I'll be getting a lot more leverage from that, especially if I want to go into like management or growth up or just something down the line. So I'm trying to quantify my success and my improvement based on like that rather than have I earned more money than last month? Because if I look at that and I do a bad month, I'm just going to be demotivated.
Yeah. I feel you. I think it's important to always be working towards a bigger vision too. And ultimately, like you said, like I said earlier, it kind of goes back down to your why. Like if you stay with one skill set, you're obviously always going to spend time for money. But if you get to a point where you have more skill sets and you can build something of your own,
Mhm.
you can obviously generate more money, but obviously just put yourself and your future family and your kids in a better position. Cliche, but you get paid based on your skill. So if you
Yeah,
develop skill sets and you consider that progression, you're obviously going to always perform better than the guy who's chasing a loose number because there's no real actionables behind a loose number. There is
yeah,
behind skill set.
yeah.
I think a lot of people don't tend to realize that, bro.
Yeah, and everything I'm doing right now isn't for me today. It's for me like in a month's time, in a year's time.
I feel you. I think that's important. Like a lot of people I've noticed around me that are making, I have a lot of friends that are making good money, but a lot of them kind of they don't think about themselves in 3 months. So they go, they sign 5 clients the month after, their fulfillment's fucked, and they don't know what they're doing. But sure, they had an all-time high month, but the following months are fucked. They don't have systems, they don't have people in place, they don't know how to systemize things right, or actually just fulfill properly on a mass spectrum. What tends to happen is they get fucked over. It's like you offer stagnant 4 offers. It might feel good today because you know you get a base pay of like 1,200 to 3K. next month or whatever it might be. But then you think about it and you're like, huh, I'm fucked tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And then you've also jeopardized your reputation in the space because people come to look at you and be like, "Oh, this is a guy that has shit fulfillment, takes on clients, can't provide, doesn't follow through with his word," and that's made it harder for you, ironically, down the line to progress.
yeah. Would you say your life and mindset's changed since you started all of this? Because I know your mindset's obviously been progressing, but it
Oh
sounds like
yeah.
you've been
Oh
trying
yeah,
to.
my mindset has changed hugely. So I used to get like crazy, like anxious. So you know about this, anxious about results, about not doing as well as I think I should be doing, and especially on stuff that are just out of my hands, out of my control completely. So I feel like that has really. I'm still working on it, of course, never going to be perfect, but that's something that's really come a long way that I've had to learn. That if you want to be successful in this space, m how you are in your head is more important than anything else.
No, there's like a fire alarm going on or something. But I don't really care. All
Yeah.
right, let's get back to it.
Holy shit.
Bro's on the ground. All right, I feel you. So your mindset's already kind of developed, but has your life changed at all, or do you still feel like you're at a point where it's kind of the same?
I mean, my life has changed hugely because I've dropped out of uni. It's like
Yeah.
I'm literally on a completely different trajectory to where I pictured myself 2 years ago. So, in that regard, it has changed a lot, but the goal always stays the same in terms of, providing for your family, making a good life for yourself, leaving behind a good legacy, whatever that is.
Yep.
I feel like for me, everything I do isn't necessarily for me, but for people around me. That is my motivator. If it was just like, "Oh, I'm the only person I care about and I wanna get rich," I would not be as motivated as I am now.
I think an important way to look at it, and I want to ask you this, is maybe you're not where you want to be right now, but are you on the trajectory you want to be on? I.e., in an alternative ideal universe, are you doing exactly what you should be doing to be where you want to be?
I'd say yes, because I've always been somebody to look around and be like, where's my next challenge gonna come from?" Whether that's in the gym, in something like, I don't know, mixed martial arts, I like to do that a lot. Whatever it is, I'm always looking for that next challenge that's gonna take me to the next level, and I've always been looking for a way to, provide for those around me, and this, a as I said before, I've tried so many different things that they just weren't what they're made out to be, and this is something that I've actually seen proof of concept for, which is why I remember telling you when I was in London, if I make X amount of money, I'll drop out of uni. Now, I haven't made that money, but I've still been able to justify dropping out of uni just because I see the vision.
Yeah. What do you think setting worked instead of the other shit that you tried?
'Cause it's a real skill. Like, sales is a real skill. Whether you wanna do online sales, even if I wanted to, like, in a week's time, leave and do sales in-person sales, I can go into any industry I want and still know how to do sales. Because all you have to do is be able to sell something. You don't even have to know what it is you're selling. Like, if I went into the aerospace industry, as long as I had that skills of knowing how to do sales, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you go, in person, in an industry you have no idea about, online, whatever it is. I just think it's because it's a real skill, and it's probably one of the best skills you can learn out there, and one of the
Agree.
most universal ones. Yeah, one of the boys in Sales Academy, he absolutely printed last month, and he was able to get an in-person sales job with a great base pay, move to Miami and do sick things. So it just shows you that it's an online skill, but it's a real skill that applies to everyday in-person life as well.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't realize, bro, even with setting, you learn a lot about psychology, understanding people
Oh, yeah.
speaking, tonality, all these other things and mannerisms that you need to know to actually be a very good sales rep. Because if you can be a great setter, you can be a great closer. It's
Yeah.
just a slightly lower stepping stone, you know?
Yeah. It's all about progressing to into more leveraged positions, whether that's going from DM setting to dialing, from dialing to closing, from closing to management to your own mentorship or growth up or whatever it is. It's like that next step up the ladder pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen one of my buddies in the past, I've seen him go from set for quite a long time now, like 8 months or so, maybe even a year, and just learned setting, learned closing, learned all these skill sets, learned management, but it was all within one offer, right? All within one team. So he went from being the setter to being the COO within
Yeah.
a year, give or take. So he
Yeah.
ended up essentially getting to a point where he was doing 40, 50K a month personal profit. Now, yeah, a lot of people are thinking, some people watching this are thinking, wow, some people watching this are thinking, oh, but you can do more if you do your own thing. Brother, zoom out. That's like 500K a year
Yeah.
from setting. He started with setting and he understood the fundamentals. No sales experience prior. All fucking setting.
Yeah.
Obviously, he developed and he wanted to grow, but it was all one offer. Takes one good offer and one good person, and you get that opportunity and you grow.
Yeah, that's the thing I learned as well. Like, if you're able to get on a good offer and you have results to back up yourself, you can go very far in it. Like, it's just all about making yourself irreplaceable. That's really what it comes down to. Isn't making like 5K, 10K a month? Is it? Did you make yourself irreplaceable? And if you
Yes,
didn't, why? Why haven't you done that?
agreed. Agreed. Because a lot of people get complacent too.
Yeah.
What would you say? What's the biggest lesson you learned kind of so far throughout your entire journey? I say entire journey, but it's only been, not
Yeah,
long at
a
all.
few months, but yeah. I'd say it's probably goes back to the mindset in terms of disassociating myself from stuff that's out of my control, and that actually helps with stuff in like your personal life or whatever, because when you let that take over your entire mind, it's the enemy of productivity. You're gonna find that if you obsess over obsession is good, but there's different types of obsession where it's like obsession that's out of your control, and that type of obsession is not what you need to succeed. So that's something that I've really learned about in this space. Like, okay, I've done everything I need to do for the day. I've spent 6 hours. I've done this many messages, but I haven't booked like 5 calls. It's okay. I did what needed to be done. Tomorrow you'll book 5 calls, and you won't always be in perfect conditions where you'll be able to do 5 calls every single day, and that's just something you have to accept. Just make sure that the work you are putting in is the best quality work you could possibly do. And on top of that, I was spending like 12 hours a day, going to bed at 5 a.m., trying to get in like another book call, another book call. That's just not sustainable. Now I'm on a nice offer where I'm only having to do 6 hours a day, and I feel a lot happier about it, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, you don't have to sacrifice your entire life for another book call.
Yeah, I think that's a really bad mental and ideology to have as well. And I think the issue kind of goes back to sales managers, bro. Because I've kind of noticed I'm in a position right now where I'm running 6 figure per month sales teams. I'm also building the recruitment agency. So I'm in the process of either training in a sales manager, which I am, and also obviously looking over multiple reps and making sure they're doing well. And I don't set it to book in 5 calls. Fuck that, bro. Even with my sales manager, he used to do that and I got on his ass about it. I was like, don't do that again because you can't control the uncontrollables. But if you work at maximum capacity and you do every single thing in your power, you do the conversations, you do this, you do that, I'm happy because you've done everything you could. But in the meantime, prioritize your personal health.
Yeah,
Go because sales is a direct representation of your personal life, such as business. So if personal life isn't going good, you're not going to the gym, you're neglecting MMA, you're neglecting everything in your life. What tends to happen is you put a lot of pressure on results, and when then they don't go well because you can't control the uncontrollables, you blame yourself. Then you crash
yeah,
out, you crash down, and that's going to happen to you, I think, too. But if you just controlled your personal and you understood that you cannot control the amount of calls you book, but you can work at maximum capacity, all those problems would go away. And I noticed this and I cracked it, and that's what we do with our sales teams now, whereas nobody else does that because book in 3 calls, book in 3 calls.
yeah. That's KPIs are kind of like, I'm not a huge fan of KPIs in terms of like you'll have KPIs where they're like have 80 conversations, book in 5 calls, whatever. But I'm like, for me, I prefer doing a smaller group and just focusing on the quality of work.
Agreed.
Even if you don't book in a conversation today or tomorrow, maybe that's somebody that will come back to you in a month's time, in 2 months' time. It's all about quality of work and working smarter, not harder.
And that's how we've been approaching setting as a whole. Like the way we've started shifting our ideology behind setting. It's a nurture process and it works with your content, works with your story sequences. It's not just book them in today. because
Mhm.
most people won't, and then you will book them in 2, 3 months, and that's where you get your longer term ROI. That's kinda what we started coaching and shit. But for anybody who's watching this, KPIs are like key performance indicators or minimum standards you need to set, or you need to basically accomplish for an offer. So have 50 conversations in a day, or have 100 conversations, or do 20 follow-ups, or whatever it might be. The issue is some managers will set standards for the amount of calls you can book, but what tends to happen is you can have good days and you can have bad days, like anything. So if you can't control if somebody books in a call, even though you've sent the call link, but they book it the next day, that's not your fault. And that's kind of what we're talking about. Now, to drop some sauce for the people watching this, whether they're already setting or they're trying to break into it or they're not sure if they should, what would you kind of give advice wise to them to do well with setting, to do well with this industry as a whole?
Honestly, and I'm gonna give the same answer when it goes back to the mindset. Mindset really, I really think if you're able to dial that in the beginning, you'll be able to surpass somebody who has months ahead of you who doesn't have the mindset. Because if you're able to, even if you're working a job, for example, loads of guys in Setters Academy are working jobs, but they're still doing well. It's all about making sure you're doing what you need to do, whether that's before you get on an offer, training up, doing role plays with people, finding resources, getting help from if you have a manager or mentor, um, and when you're actually on offers, don't get complacent. Don't just be like, I'm on an offer now, run this up to 5K a month. Because that's nice, but you should always be looking about, okay, how am I going to get to 10K? How am I going to get into SDR or closing or growth up? Don't being a setter is not where you should be ending your your entire career in the space. It's a stepping stone, really. And if you
Yeah.
want to excel, you have to make sure you have the right mindset where you don't get stressed out about these things that are out of your control, and just do everything that you need to do to a high standard.
Yeah. I don't say this lightly, and I say it quite often in the group amongst you boys, but there's going to be people in this group that are going to go and make multiple five figures per month in the next few months. And some people maybe don't believe me, but even the way you're saying the whole thing about mental is the reason you're going to be one of those guys. We're kind of already seeing that happen. People are approaching, five figures a month or like 10K a month, and they're starting to sustain it as well, which is disgusting to see when you think about how a few months ago they were just starting, you know?
Exactly. They were sending messages for a few hours a day. I mean, it's not as simple as just simply sending a message. There's no structure to it. There's framework and stuff. But in theory, you're sending messages. Like, come on, look where you can go. You can go to earning like 10K, 20K, 50K a month from starting as just somebody sending messages for a couple hours a day.
Yeah. The thing is as well, and I heard this the other day as well, is the last thing you want to do, there's two things really. The last thing you want to do is get on a podcast when you've made it and they ask you, like, how was the journey? And you say it was straight up. No problems, no pullbacks, no stress, no nothing. And it was just this continuous journey of growth because it will be, but there's gonna be things that hold you down. But that's what makes the journey. Sometimes we need like a bump to bring us back to reality, and that's what's good. And to build off of that as well, you don't need to know how you're gonna get to 100K a month or a million a month yet. You'll
Yeah,
figure it out as you go. You don't need to know today because none of us know today. But you will figure it out if you just stick with this cliche and you hear it all the time and it goes in and out of people's ear. Don't let it, because you don't need to
yeah,
figure it out today. But just do this one thing good, because how you do one thing is also how you do everything.
yeah. And that's why I think it's good to have a community around you as well, like having a mentor and somebody to guide you and tell you that what you're doing is yeah, what you're doing. Like honestly, I think like investing in you is probably the best decision I've made, not just in terms of like the opportunity, but when like I'm crashing out or something like that, having somebody to be like, you know, I've been there. You need to chill out. It's not as serious as you think it is. This is just part of the experience, pretty much. Like you just need to relax and have somebody there that is able, you know, you can they've been on the path that you're trying to go on right now, so they can point you in the right direction and tell you, you're just being an idiot. You don't actually need to stress about this, or this is actually something that we could improve on.
I agree. I agree. I think it's important to also pick your mentors right. I see a lot of people nowadays pick them wrong, where I've gotten to a point where some of the people joining the community have been scammed by other mentors. Like, you gotta be careful, bro. Look at the way they speak. Look at the dream they're selling you. I tell you guys, like, setting is not the dream, but it's a stepping stone. It's the foundation, and it's trench work. Like, it's not the easiest thing in
Yeah,
the world. Like, it will take a little bit to get there, and there's gonna be battles, like, your mental and figuring out that you can't control the uncontrollables. But the other guy here, who's like, I guess one of my competitors, I don't really consider him one, he's telling you that you can go to Thailand and live the dream. Are like
yeah.
two very different situations. My guys are gonna go and make consistent 5, 6 figures a month eventually. I know it. And his guys are gonna go working a job saying, "Damn, I got scammed." I'm
Yeah.
not just saying that out of the blue. I've seen it happen in multiple occasions. It's
And
fucked.
also, I think something that I've actually learned about, investing in a mentor and being in this space is that if you go and tell your friend, for example, "Oh, I invested X amount in the mentor," they'll be like, "Oh, wow, that's a huge amount of money." But you can't look at it from a financial standpoint in terms of like, I've invested X amount, X thousands of dollars. You have to look at it from what is it, the value that you're getting out of it. That's what matters. Like when I told my parents I invested in a mentor and then explained to them like why and I'm not looking at the number, I'm looking at the value and what it is I'm actually getting. I think that makes it it basically justifies itself.
Yeah. I've said this before too. If there was no me and it was just the community and you had to pay the price you had to pay to just get into the community, people would still do extremely well.
Yeah,
Maybe not as well as now, but people would still do extremely well. It's fucked.
yeah,
It
we've
is
got
very
we've
much
got some good guys in here that, you know, you can call them up and we can just have conversations. I was on a conversation with a guy about mindset for 3 hours the other day, and it was very beneficial to both of us. So I'm just like, it literally justifies itself.
I think that's the cool thing. It's like nobody in our group puts themselves on a pedestal too. We're all on the same page. We're all working towards the same vision. Nobody's doing
Yeah.
better. Nobody has an ego. No nothing. Because if you do have an ego, somebody's gonna call you out, you know?
And everybody has the same, like, struggles, if that makes sense. Obviously, at different scales, but you think, "Oh, I'm the only one stressed about, booking in 3 calls. I'm the only one stressed about not doing 100K cash collected," or whatever it is. But no, literally everybody is feeling that way, unless they're just, like, a mindless droid. But, like, everybody's feeling, like, some kind of pressure that, it's not just you who feels that way. That's why it's good to, be in a community like that.
Great. And to build off of that, what would you say specifically was your favorite or the best thing kind of in the program?
The meetup was really good. The London meetup was fire. That was
Super.
really, really good.
A lot
Um,
of believes.
and yeah, as like a separate thing as well, the level of like one-to-one guidance as well. Like I don't have to necessarily book in a time with you. I can literally just send you a message or whatever, call you up, and like I will have that support basically whenever I need it. So like if I'm having mindset issues, if I'm having conversation issues, whatever it may be, I have that basically 24/7, you know, contact.
I think you've kind of noticed we become boys at this point, and like the whole group is just a
Yeah,
group of boys.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's the good thing about it. You don't even feel like obviously you're competing with everybody but it's more of a like, oh, he's doing really well, I want to also do well, not he's doing better than me, I want him to fail kind of thing. So it feels more like where everybody's trying to see everybody else do well rather than a very like toxic competitive environment that you'd often see in like in-person sales world.
Yeah, it's not like we're all slaving for the same opportunity or for the same client or for the same sale. Like there are opportunities, and I
Exactly.
get to leverage my network through that. And even the teams we're working with now with the recruitment, or even the six-figure sales teams we're managing. So you guys get a lot of opportunity, and everybody eats because of that. But it's competitiveness, as in I'm going to work harder than you and make more than you. It's not I'm going to take your fucking money. You know,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that's like there's a
Like,
very big difference between that.
yeah, yeah, I 100% agree with that. And like when you have the opportunity to be on like offers with your boys, like I'm on like some offers you get to set with like 3, 4, 5 other people. And when you have people that are in your community on the offers as well, it just makes the process so much easier. You have a better communication. You can help each other. Like if somebody's clocked off for a shift, you can like help their conversations or whatever it may be. It's good to have that, kind of reliability on somebody.
Sense of community, bro. It's like we need people. We're
Exactly.
humans. Being able to
Exactly.
work with someone beyond the same journey is fucking powerful.
Yeah. That's one thing I've noticed recently is that it's good to be happy in your own company, but that should always be an option. You should always be able to have community around you, people around you, even if it's just like family or whatever, or they don't know what you're doing, it's still good to have them just to, have that interaction. You can't always just be solo.
Yeah, I think that's why we all have friends in here. It's like it's such an obvious thing, but
Yeah.
it's why we do have friends because we need it. We're humans, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
And to kind of wrap things up from there with a final question for anybody who's watching this, maybe they're on edge, maybe they're not even sure if settings for them, maybe they have been thinking about joining, they've watched nearly 10 interviews now. What would you say to them?
Honestly, just take the step, invest in yourself, invest in your future. Um, because what do you want to do? Just be on the fence for the rest of your life? Like, what are you going to achieve? Pretty much. You need to at some point take risk to have some level of reward. And that's why I took that jump. I was like, okay, what if this doesn't work out? What if this doesn't work out? But what if it does? And where will that take you? And I now have that vision of where it's going to take me that maybe I didn't have in the first 2 months of getting into setting. But because I stuck with it and because I had faith in myself and, the community I was in and the mentorship and stuff like that, I can now see how I'm gonna, make that 10, 20, 50K a month and provide for all those people around me.
Agreed. I think there's a very big difference. Objection handling coming here. There's a very big difference between risk and calculated risk.
Yeah.
And after seeing a community of guys that the average is 1.52K a month, and they're all either in college, university, or working full-time fucking jobs, and they're
Yeah.
like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 22, whatever it is, the success rate is 100%. There's a difference between risk and calculated risk, and there's a lot of calculation here.
A lot of it, yeah. A lot of it. And going back to like when you said about people in college, work, whatever, I was able to make that 3K whilst in university. Now that I'm not in university anymore, I'm just like, shit, what am I gonna do now in
Now
terms
we got
of
more
those numbers? Now is the real test of, where I'm gonna take this and
type
where
shit.
everybody else can take it pretty much.
Cliche, but where attention goes, money goes. So if your full
Exactly.
undivided attention is on this in your personal life because you need balance, you'll naturally perform better. You'll be able to
Exactly.
see yourself develop more skill sets faster because your attention is here. And yeah, I think it's important, bro. I think it's important. Like, there's a very big difference between selling a course and what we're doing here. And we're building a community and a real fucking coaching company. And I'm gonna look back at this, and some of the people will, whether they're in the group, whether they're watching this now, we're actually building something real here. We're not selling some calls or some
Yeah.
group calls or like you said it yourself, London meetup. Many more to come, bro.
Yeah, like where you don't get that in a course. Like it may seem like semantics if you don't understand it, but there is a big difference between just a course and what this is.
Yeah.
It's you get the it's a community, it's people who are all on the same or very similar paths to you. You have the work ethic, it's just like you're not getting that from a course.
We're just trying to get rich quick type shit. I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
trolling.
actually a Ponzi scheme, just FYI.
Yeah, like, bro, you're gonna get rugged. You're gonna get rugged for sure. I don't know the founder, but if I saw him, I'd fuck him up right now. I'm the founder. Do you have any final notes for this before we head out?
Yeah, invest in Setters Academy. It'll be probably the best investment you ever make.
Bro, thanks again for referral fee off of this.
Do I not?
That's funny as fuck. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
you here.
no worries, bro.
I'm excited to see where your journey goes because, like I said earlier, you're gonna be one of those people where we get on another call, we get on another interview, and you're gonna be heaps ahead of where you are now.
Yeah,
So,
I know for a fact I'm gonna be, you know, getting there, getting to my goals.
okay, beautiful. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully, you enjoyed the interview. Peace. Thank you
Peace.
for your time, Isaac.
All good, bro.